All right, are we live, everyone? Welcome to the ARCA Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Evans, aka Starting Park Car here, and it's good to be back with y'all after a great weekend in Kansas. And when I say a great weekend, I truly mean a great week in Kansas. Had a great time with Brad Smith on Friday and a great time watching the Xfinity and Cup racing. Um, I can't wait to talk to you guys about my day in Kansas. We're also going to be reviewing the West Series race from Madera. And we're getting close to the end of the ARCA seasons, folks. The final ARCA Menard Series is this weekend in Toledo, and we now have just two races left in the West Division. So we're wrapping up the season, guys. It's hard to believe we're already at this point in the year, but happy to review two races for you guys today and also preview one. So we'll go through my little intro. I go through the beginning of every single ARCA Menard Series podcast, and then we will jump right into the action from Kansas. So you guys know the drill. Follow me on social media, on Twitter, X, at Starting Park Car, Colby Evans on there. We recently just passed over 7,000 followers there, so I want to thank you guys enough for the continued support. Go follow me on Instagram if you want. Again, at Colby Evans Racing. You can even follow me on Facebook as well. Again, Colby Evans. That's my name everywhere. You can support the show financially by sending in a super chat. You don't have to, but it's more than welcome. It helps support the show and helps support my racing career. Check out the Racing Experts, the official media partner of this podcast, on any social platform as well, the official media partner of this podcast. And yeah, let's get right into it, shall we? So Kansas Speedway. Pretty much my other home track outside of Iowa. It's literally less than 3 hours from my home. Literally less than 3 hours from my home. Very easy drive. I've gone to pretty much every single, and even the COVID weekends. I did manage to go to both Kansas COVID weekends, so I have not missed a weekend at Kansas since 2014. Ever since 2015, I've been to every single Kansas weekend, and that includes the ARCA races. And I'm happy to say that we were back again with Brad Smith following along. We were running Brad's Speedway car. Again, a car that is not particularly set up for a track like this. So I knew we were going to struggle with some handling problems. In the spring, we were just so far off. Brad had I think it was like just after Talladega, the car had a complete Talladega setup in it. And you just can't bring a car with a full Talladega setup to a track like Kansas. We only made 4 laps before we got parked for minimum speed. And that was kind of my worry. I'm not going to lie, coming into this weekend were we going to get parked again? Was minimum speed going to be a problem? But Brad had said, with all the short track races that they had, and continuing to run Rusty every weekend, his other car, he was actually able to change the setup a little bit, put some time into the car to be able to get some sort of a setup in it for Kansas. So that gave me a little bit of hope that we might have some sort of race, of a decent race setup for Kansas. And we actually did. We were a part of a staggering 29 car field. I was very, very happy to see a great car count on the entry list for Kansas. I knew we were going to have maybe a 1 or 2 starting parks in there, but just to have that many, there was a welcome sight. I mean, I was there working with Brad back when they were bringing in 18 car fields, 19 car fields. So to bring in 29 is such a welcome sight. It really was. It was pretty much the regulars. You had a few oddball entries looking here. You had Taylor Reimer in the 70. The 15 was back with Chris Wright. 2 nitro cars. Thad Moffitt returned in the 46. Andrew Patterson in the 40, Patrick Starpoli in the 17, Eloy Falcon in the 2, Takuma Koga in the 12, Eric Caudell returned for a one-off, Corey Day in the Spire team, which is just the 82 Pinnacle team in disguise. They returned. Bobby Dale Earnhardt returned in the 31, and Peterson brought 2 cars, the 06 of and then the 0 for Kevin Hinkle. So we had quite a few extra entries in the field, which again, even if they're not competitive cars that are going to go out there for the win, having those extra bodies on the track really makes a lot of a difference. I've always been an advocate for that. More bodies on track is always a positive. It really is. That's why we see more open cup cars. I get excited. Whenever we see full Xfinity fields, which we don't really struggle with, I'm happy about that. It's more in line with the truck series. The more bodies you have on track, like with ARCA, the more bodies, the better. It just makes the race better, in my personal opinion. So yeah, with Brad, we're trying to stay higher in the owner points. So, the plan was to run the full race. Got unloaded pretty easily, and it was hot. It was hot for the time of year, so we were all sweating buckets, like literally 20 minutes into the day before we even got the car unloaded. Brad and I were already sweating buckets. We did have some things to do to the car. We had to change out the smaller of the two fire bottles. I had to help Brad get the seat belts changed. I think that was it. If I'm correct, I think, yeah. So we had to do the fire bottle. We did the seat belts. Then we got into tech, got to tech. I was the spotter for the day. So we had just finished tech. And then I had to go up to the spotter stand. Practice went well. We immediately showed a lot more speed than we did in the spring, which gave me some glimmer of hope. Stayed up there for practice and then qualifying. And Brad Brad never really tries in qualifying. He just goes out there really to put a lap in. Practice overall, I tell you, for the fans who never get to experience it, I hate it because the spotter stand is one hell of a view. I really wish that they would have some sort of fan tours. When the spotters aren't up there, I don't know why we can't take a pocket of fans. Like you can charge them for it, like make it a part of a tour, but do tours where you take people up on the spotter stand. It is truly a view that you cannot really understand until you're up there. And I don't know, I'm trying to make sense of it. Like, you look at the spotter stand when you're in the infield. You look at the spotter stand when you're sitting in the grandstands. The view from up there compared to anywhere else is just mind-boggling, what you can see. And it's also mind-boggling kind of how slow the cars look from up there. That's the one thing I really noticed. It's like, man, even some of the faster guys, they looked so slow, even though they were the fastest cars in the field. It's such an interesting thing. It really is. It's hard to explain. Unshockingly, at a track like this, we knew the 28 and the 18 were probably going to be the hardest cars to beat. They were the fastest in practice. Leland Honeyman Jr. was third. Andy J, man, he always has a decent 1.5 mile program. He was fourth. Thad Moffitt was fifth. 28 of the 29 cars did take a practice lap, and we weren't even the slowest. We were actually 26th out of 28. So, hey, I'll take it right there. So we came back for qualifying. We were one of the first cars out there. We just kind of wanted to get it over with. We didn't want to be in anybody's way. So we just actually put down a pretty good lap compared to what we usually do. We actually beat a few cars again, qualified 24th. So it was actually reassuring for all of us on the team that we were able to beat a few cars at the back of the field, especially considering we're running an old legacy motor, and we actually beat two cars that were running Ilmores. So, cool, interesting thing I found is our car, I'm trying to get some confirmation on it, but Brad might be running a Dale Earnhardt Jr. car. It is a Ronnie Hopkins chassis, built in March of 2000, and it's got a DEI dashboard. And it has 006. Could Brad have Dale Jr.'s old Winston Cup car, DEI 006? I'm trying so hard to confirm that. Because if he does, that's awesome. But I'm trying so hard to confirm that. It's just some of the people that I've reached out to haven't gotten back to me yet, but I really want to confirm that. But yeah, unshockingly again, pretty much the same top three from practice were the same top three from qualifying, and I think ended up even being the same top three from the race. So, yeah, shout out to Brendan Queen, Gio Rogero, and Leland Honeyman. for pretty much being the best three cars overall the entire day. Now, again, it was confirmed. Lawless Allen, like I said, he's gone. There's no word on what his 2026 plans will be, if he's actually going to return. I don't know. So it'll be just interesting to see where Lawless goes. But either way, Leland Honeyman has definitely been taking full advantage of the 20-car ride. I will say also, I did forget to mention the 77 car. The 77 car of Corey Day. They didn't have an engine failure in practice. I think they lost an oil line because it was about 20 minutes into practice. He laid down just a pile of oil, pretty much all the way down the front straightaway. So that I think that it shut down practice for a while. They extended the session for, I think, about probably 10 extra minutes. They were actually able to clean the car up and get back out there before practice even ended as well. But unfortunately, it would not be the end of their mechanical problems. So we eventually started the race. And we were doing pretty well at the start. We were actually running ahead of the 06 and the 10 at the start of the race. I don't think Ed Pompa was supposed to be a start and park. Ed usually doesn't do start and parks. But for some strange reason, his car was just not up to speed. It was not up to speed in practice. It was not up to speed in qualifying. And it was not up to speed in the race either. So, kind of confused on that situation. Brayton last year, I talked to Brayton. The car it was just underpowered. He was pretty much wide open. He just had no power. And that was kind of the common consensus from him, talking to the crew chief, Nate Muller. Just no power. They did everything they could, but just no power under the hood. And that's what happens sometimes when you're running these legacy engines. They can get a lot of age on them. They need rebuilds. It's nothing against the team. They're just some weekends you're down on power. So, but thankfully for us, we were actually running ahead of them. And the race started out pretty calmly. Everybody got spread out in the beginning. Gio took the lead, pulled out to a pretty sizable gap. The 9 of Matt Kemp pulled off after 9 laps. The 0 of Kevin Hinkle was not supposed to be a start and park, but he was having real mechanical problems. I think they had a transmission problem because he came back down pit road. They went under the hood. They sent him back out. And then he ran 2 more laps on the apron and then came back down again and then went to the garage. So he had a legit mechanical problem. He was not a start and park. And then Ed Pompa went to the garage 3 laps later, and he was also, again, on and off pit road. They were lifting the hood. So both the 0 and the 10 had mechanical issues. And they were not start and parks. That's what I'm just trying to say. So by lap 20, we did have 3 cars off the track. We had 26 still running, and we were running a pretty good pace. We were actually running a pretty good pace. Yes, we were off. Yes, we were slow, but for what we are as an organization, the 48 team is, we were running what I thought was a good pace. At least we were above minimum. I'll say that. We were above minimum speed. So, unfortunately, we did encounter some issues in the race. The last time that our red car was ran was Watkins Glen. Now, as you guys know, for Watkins Glen, you need a rain light installed in the car just in case rain shows up and the light goes off to indicate cars on track during rain racing. Even if there is no rain in the forecast, it is still required. Well, the last time that this red car ran was Watkins Glen. So Brad did not take the light out of the car. Needless to say, I did not notice it during practice or qualifying, mainly just due to it being run in the day. I didn't notice it. And so during the pace laps, I noticed it. I asked an official about it. He didn't have a problem with it. And then about 20 laps into the race, I had a different official come over and tell us that we needed to solve the problem. Now, I'm not going to lie, I did argue with him a little bit because it wasn't affecting anything. We were not, our rain light being on was not affecting anything. It wasn't affecting anybody on the track. But, you're not going to win against an official. So We had to call Brad down. Eventually, we just had to cut the wire. Brad said we fixed the wire after the race, so that way we wouldn't forget about it. It was the first thing we did when Brad was done for the day. We fixed the wire, but we had to cut it just to get it to turn off. But we lost like 10 laps on pit road because we couldn't get we couldn't find the right wire. It's at night, it's dark, the car doesn't have a light. We didn't have any flashlights to find the wire, so we had to go wire by wire to see which one was what, and then eventually the guys found it and they cut it. So we were able to get back out on track, but at that point we were so many laps down. I think we were like 12 laps down by the time we finally got back on track. So meanwhile, while that was happening, like I said, it was the 18 and the 28 and the 20. They were all just pulling away from the field. Really, they were the three best cars the entire race. And, the consistent thing I'll say about, again, ARCA, the mid-pack and how competitive it is. 4th place to about 10th place, were running together all night. And it was really some pretty good racing. They would slingshot down into turn 1, try to slide up, and the car up top would just go underneath them. It was really, really good stuff. It's just unfortunate, again, we can't get that at the front of the field, Lap 27, I had a big scare. Bobby Dale Earnhardt hit the wall hard. He literally blew a tire right as he lapped us. He lapped us in 3 and 4, and going down the front straightaway, you just heard a boom. And it startled me. And at the last second, I saw the 31 hit the wall, and, he was out of control after hitting the wall, so I'm trying to tell Brad, high, go low, go high, go low, and I just said, go low as you can. Thankfully, we made it clear of it, but man, I feel bad for Bobby Dale. His return to ARCA has not gone well. Really, they haven't even been his fault. Both accidents have not been his fault. They've just been tire failures. So I hate that for Bobby Dale. He was doing well, for what the Rise car was capable for speed on a mile and a half. He was doing very well. And it's just unfortunate that it was wrecked once again by a tire failure. So that put an end to his day. Got back going green. And again, we could hang with the 06 on the start. I think where Brayton and the 06 team had us beat is they just had more of a setup in their car. So even though we probably maybe had more power than they did in terms of engine, but they had a better setup in the car. And I mean an real setup for a 1.5 mile track. And that's probably where they were beating us, because we were beating them down the straightaways, but they were beating us down in the corners. So it was kind of fun. It's like the battle for last place. I crack myself up with that sometimes. It was also a rough day for Michael Maples. He was on and off pit road multiple times as well with engine problems. A lot of engine problems in this race, I'm not going to lie. At least 4 or 5 cars had mechanical or engine problems during this race. So, yeah, that's I don't know what that says right there, but I just wanted to point that out too. Like many cars came down pit road during this race to lift up the hood. So, but at least Michael finished. He did at least finish the race, but he did have some mechanical problems. Needless to say, we got back going green again. Again, Gio took the lead, pulled out to a pretty sizable gap, but we did notice that the 28 was able to get by this time. Now, again, the lap 50 caution is the mandatory caution, but you can pit earlier if you want. And it was during this pit stop where a lot of the guys decided to come down and take tires. Now, it was during these pit stops where if you get beaten on pit road, you do lose your position. And that's where the lead changed hands. It's the lap 50 mandatory pit stop. You don't lose your position. That is a sanctioned pit stop. But if you pit earlier, which you're given the option to, you can lose your position. That's why a lot of these teams still go out to hire a high-profile pit crew for these races, just in case a green flag pit stop needs to happen, or a pit stop like this needs to happen. So, we had a lead change right there. Butterbean Queen was able to get back out front. However, Gio took the lead a few laps after the restart. The 18 car, in my opinion, was the car to beat tonight. Gio definitely had a good piece. And the 18 car really needed it too, because they needed to claw back points, as many as they could for the Owners' Championship, because that's the championship that Joe Gibbs Racing really cares about when it comes to the ARCA Series. Unfortunately, we talked about LeVar Scott's issues from Salem and how he came oh so close. Well, tonight was not necessarily the best night for him. Only qualified 8th. Didn't really show signs of race-winning pace. Neither of the Rev cars did. And LeVar he hit the wall a few times with the right side. And then eventually on lap 47, only a few laps later, he hit the wall even harder in turn 3. And that was the end of his day. So tough end to the night for LeVar Scott. Again, just a really tough 2 weeks. The heartbreaking loss from Salem. And then a rough go here. Like I said, you got to feel for him. He's come oh so close so many times, and he just can't. The guy cannot buy any luck. Again, we were losing kind of a car here, a car there. They just went ahead and made that the lap 50 caution since it took place on lap 47, which was the right call. So we had the teams come down, put fuel in. So now nobody had to worry about, making it to the end on fuel. Got back going green again. And again, at this point, Gio, again, he's pulling away. The 28's kind of staying with him, but it's really clear the 18 is the car to beat. The 18, without a doubt, is the car to beat. And unless, a good restart for the 28 or something, he's probably not going to go up there and pass the 18 car. We're just running along. Laps are clicking by. Eventually, on lap 78, I get told by our ARCA official that we need to pick up the pace. We had been running above minimum speed, but for 3 straight laps, I had to keep Brad really low because we had 2 cars that were side by side coming at him. So I had to keep him extra low, and that just killed our pace. And when you run, I think it's 2 or 3 laps under the minimum speed, that's when they post you. And so but right as they posted us, literally the second that they told me you got to come in and work on it, it appeared that the 77 of Corey Day had his second mechanical problem of the day as the 77's. I'm not sure if he dropped another oil line or if the engine actually blew up. But either way, the 77 had yet another mechanical issue, and his day was done. So we rode out the caution laps. At this point, though, Brad was just wondering, were we going to gain any positions? I told him we really weren't going to be gaining any positions. We were just too many laps behind. To put in perspective, we were 7 laps behind the next car in front of us. At this point, we were 19 laps down. Michael Maples, the next car ahead of us, was 12. So, and we were not going to run him down. We weren't. That just was not going to happen. So we made the decision, all right, we're going to run out these caution laps. And once they go for the restart, we'll just park it. So that's what we did. And so we, like I said, caution laps were ran. Brad went to the garage, and that was the end of our day. I decided to stay on the spotter stand just for the heck of it to watch the finish. And to my shock, on the restart, Butterbean Queen got a great restart and managed to get the lead from Gio Rosero on that restart. And actually kept the lead. Gio just could not get back past him. But unfortunately, the race was not over. Andy Jankowiak, really, right as they really took the white flag, poor Andy J lost a tire. And I felt bad for Andy. He was literally going to have a top 5 finish. And unfortunately, yet another issue for the Class Motorsports team, which I hate because they just signed that energy drink sponsor. They had just signed it. What's the name of it? Oh, I can't find the name right now, but they just signed an energy drink sponsor, and they were going to get a top 5 finish. It was going to be a really, really good run for them, and Unfortunately, too much damage for them to continue, so their night was done. And in ARCA, even though if it's the white flag, we don't end the race. We have our one-lap shootout. So we racked them up again, got the green, and the 46 of Thad Moffitt spins. So we rack them up again and have yet another one-lap shootout. And on that one-lap shootout, Brendan Queen was able to get a good run, got clear, and there was nothing the 18 could do. And Brendan Butterbean Queen speeds to his 8th win of 2025. Definitely another impressive performance. And albeit locks up the championship. I'm pretty sure he did lock up the championship. They just didn't mention it. As LeVar Scott finished all the way down in 25th. Brendan Butterbean Queen gets you his 8th win of the year and pretty much clinches the 2025 Drivers' Championship for the ARCA Menards Series main division. Gio Ruggiero finished 2nd. Leland Honeyman was 3rd. So literally, from practice to qualifying to the race, you had the same top three cars, and I think in the same order. That's impressive. Chris Wright was 4th. Taylor Reimer, shout out to Taylor Reimer, man. She showed a lot in this race. Top 5 finish on raw pace. Good for her. Mason Mitchell 6th. Thad Moffitt 7th. Andrew Patterson 8th. Jason Kitzmiller 9th. Isabella Robusto 10th. Patrick Starpoli 11th. Eloy Falcon 12th. Tyler Reif 13th. Ryan Roulette 14th. Tony Cosentino 15th. Takuma Koga 16th. Eric Caudell 17th. Andy Jankowiak ended up 18th. Alex Clubb 19th, despite exploding his transmission. He only had 4th gear the last few restarts. Jeff McConney 20th. Brayton Laster 21st. Those were the cars that finished. And then Michael Maples 22nd. Those were the cars that finished. Corey Day 23rd. We ended up 24th. Brad Smith. LeVar Scott 25th. Bobby Dale Earnhardt 26th. Ed Pompa 27th. 28th Kevin Hinkle, and 29th Matt Kemp. So that was ARCA Kansas. Kind of your run-in-the-mill ARCA race. It's just really hard to beat the factory teams pretty much on any track. But on a track like this where they have, the money for the baddest motors and the best setup, there's no doubt that they're just the hardest to beat. And no matter who's in the car, no matter who's in those cars, it's just hard to beat them. Run-of-the-mill Kansas race, had some decent battles. Was it better than the spring race? Yes. Was it still what I call a great race? It's hard to say. I think I'll give it a 5.5 or a 6. I think it's a fair grade. Wasn't terrible. Wasn't the worst race ever. But, it's just kind of what happens at these mile-and-a-half ARCA races, The factory teams are going to stay out front, and it's just hard to beat them. I think it's a fair grade. It's not me crapping on anything. It's just what it was. But, at the end of the day, I still had a great time. Saw so many great people, so many great friends that I treasure so much. So I just wish we could get some more competitiveness at the front. We wish that for every race, but, this is just what the series is right now, so I'm just tired of complaining about it. I've just kind of accepted it for what it is, and hey, if the 18 and the 28 give us great battles every week, at least we have a battle for the lead. That's how I look at it at this point. It's better than having one car just lead the entire race. That's how I look at it. At least we have 2 high-profile cars going for the win every week. That was Kansas. Can't wait to go back there in April next year. Yeah, we're not going in May. We're going in April. So I wonder if that means Kansas will be ahead of Talladega next year. Yeah. I think based off the schedules, Kansas will be ahead of Talladega. So I think the week before Talladega, because usually Talladega is the last week in April. And I think Kansas will be the 3rd week in April. So, yeah. Who knows how it'll play out next year. But that was Kansas. Not the only ARCA race of the weekend. We also had the ARCA Menard Series West. They were in race 10 of 12 at Madera Speedway, Madera, California. One of the highest car counts of the year, which is not saying much. 16 cars, but I'll take it. I really will take it. 16 cars. And you know, what else can you say? The ARCA Menard Series West Series, I say it every single time. The West Series is the best of the three series by a long shot. And I love the main division. You guys know I do. But the West Series rules. I don't know what it is about the West Series, but the racing in that series, despite having low car counts, is so freaking good. I don't know what it is, but it is so good, so entertaining. Like I said, Salem was a great race. But before that, the best race of the ARCA Menard Series season was Tucson earlier this year. And that race only had 13 cars. But yeah, this race was really good. Trevor Huddleston, though, it was the Trevor Huddleston show again. 2 years in a row at Madera. He goes, not flag to flag, but he led the most laps. This weekend at Madera, he goes flag to flag. Kyle Keller ended up second. Eric Johnson Jr. ended up third. Robbie Keenley fourth. Joey East fifth. Pole sitter Jaron Giannani, unfortunately, did not lead a lap. Arguably the most shocking thing of the entire race was in the first lap. The 19 car, arguably one of the best funded cars in the entire field, Jake Bowman. I had to go back and watch it because I was asleep. I did not actually watch this race live. I had to go back and watch it. And it shocked me seeing the 19 literally done after one lap. Like, kaboom! I mean, how often do you see a team like this having an engine failure that quick? I don't know if Jake missed a shift or what, but a very, very shocking DNF, having arguably one of the most, if not the most well-funded car in this field, blow an engine on lap one. We had Monty Tipton in the 21. What a name. I think he's raced, or I think Monty Tipton hasn't he raced before? Yeah. He made 2 starts in 2022. I think he also drove did he drive? Drove the 49 for Robbie Keenley, yeah. First time we've seen him in 2 years. What a name. That is an awesome name. Monty Tipton is a cool name. So, bonus points for having a great name. And mechanical issue, too. There was a lot of mechanical issues in the main race and the West Series race. So, he was out after lap 10. Cody Dennis made his return to the ARCA Series. Him and Nick Janitis, they made contact on lap 70, so they were out for the day, which really sucks for the Strike Mama team. They really can't afford any crashed cars. Not to say anything against Cody. That was just a rough circumstance right there. So we had 12 cars finish the race. Kyle Keller, he put up, he tried to put up the best fight he could. I love the Qualkenbush team, but man, what were they doing with that font? If there's one thing that stuck out to me is the 71 font is usually this big, bold font. Like you can read, that's 71. And they show up with this really skinny font this past week. I'm like, what's that? That's not right. That's not the Jan's Towing font. So that confused me a little bit. But yeah, very dominating performance by Trevor Huddleston, and unfortunately that is not what Kyle Keller needed. As we now have just 2 races left in the ARCA Menard Series West season, the Las Vegas Bull Ring, and then the finale weekend with NASCAR at Phoenix. So yeah, it really sucks. It really sucks that the championship looks like it might be wrapped up, but you never say never. 18 points can still be made up. The problem I say with that, though, is the West Series fields are shorter than 18 points. That's what I'm trying to say, shorter than 18 cars. So for Kyle to be able to make that up, it's not going to be easy, especially with how competitive the 50-car team is. They're really going to need a very strong performance at the Bullring and at Phoenix. Hang on, guys. I'm about to fall out of my chair here. There we go. About fell out of my chair. But yeah, they really need a strong performance. And it's like you're going to need the 50 team to have problems, and they usually don't have those kinds of problems. So, you never know what could happen. Phoenix will have over 20 cars. We know that. Las Vegas will have some extra entries as well. So that race might be, if not at 20 or over 20 cars too. So I wouldn't say Kyle Keller's out of the championship just yet, but we'll pretty much know for sure what it looks like going into Phoenix after Las Vegas. So, but yeah, for Kyle Keller and the Jans team, they have to step it up for the Las Vegas Bullring if they want to have a shot at this Drivers' Championship and Owners' Championship. But yeah, this season has just been so great. And it, again, really shows you don't need a playoff format to have a good championship battle. This series only has 12 races, and we have a great title fight between two of the top teams. Simple as that. You don't need a championship a playoff battle. So, the 71 had taped on numbers because they switched the 9 and 71 cars after practice. Okay, thank you, chat. God, that was confusing the hell out of me. Thank you, chat. I really appreciate that. Okay, seriously, thank you. I looked at that font and I was so damn confused. Okay, I really appreciate you guys filling me in on that. All right. Thank God. Now my worries can be suppressed. But yeah, like I said, Venturini, they have announced, I believe it's Thomas Annunziata. He is running the number 15. Is it Thomas Annunziata? Am I wrong on that, guys? I thought it was Thomas Annunziata's running the 15. Anyone in the chat? Isn't he running the 15 at the Bullring? Or who's running the 15 at the Bullring? Someone in the chat can just confirm that for me. I think it was. I thought I had the article pulled up here, but I don't think I do. No, I don't. But yeah, yes, okay, it is Thomas. So Venturini's last ARCA race will not actually be this weekend in Toledo. It'll actually be at Las Vegas. Now, will they have an entry at Phoenix? I hope so. But, Venturini's a business to the very end. If they don't have a paid driver for Phoenix, they probably won't go. But I do hope we see him at the last ARC race of the year just for one final send-off. So, but yeah, the Las Vegas ARCA race at the Bullring, that's always a must-watch. And we'll preview that when it shows up in a few weeks. So that was this past weekend's ARC Menard Series action. And now, hard to believe, folks, we are at the final ARCA race main division of the year. And it's Toledo Speedway, good old Toledo, Ohio. I'd love to go to Toledo Speedway. It's a 10-hour drive. It's kind of hard to make the drive, get that work off schedule. But, yeah, and I'm proud to say we have a pretty decent field count for this one. 25 cars. Would like a few more, but I'm not going to complain. I still think that's a pretty solid field size for a finale. We will go through the entries car by car, so I will read it off as follows. The 0 of Nate Muller, the 3 of Willie Mullins, the 6 of LeVar Scott, the 9 of Matt Kemp, the 10 of Ed Pompa, the 11 of Tony Cosentino. Takuma Koga returns. To Fast Track, Max Reeves. The 18, Julian DaCosta returns, driving the 20 this time. Tyler Reif in the 23, Taylor Reimer in the 25, Butterbean Queen in the 28, Presley Sora returns to these ARCA series, driving the 31, Brad Smith in the 48, Isabella Robusto in the 55, Shane Backus in the 67, Justin Rothberg in the 70, that's a new driver, Tristan McKee in his final of 3 races in the 82, Becca Monopoly in the 85, Alex Clubb in the 86, Jackson McLaren in the 95, the 97 of Jason Kitzmiller, the 99 of Michael Maples, the 03 of Jeff McConey, and the 06 of Brayton Laster. So that is your field for this weekend's race. Just based off looking at that, looks like we're only going to have one starting park, which is definitely a plus. That being the 9 of Matt Kemp. Because Nate Moeller, at least he told me that he was running the full race at Kansas. So hopefully that is true. Always like seeing Nate run the whole race. We know both club cars are going to run the distance. Brad's obviously going to run the distance since it's a short track race. Pampa, Cosentino, and Koga, they're full race guys. So at least that's good to know that it looks like 24 of our 25 cars will be going the whole distance. The 18 has just been dominant these last few here, so I'm just going to go with the easy win. Maybe not the easy, word easy, but I'm going to go ahead and go with Max Reeves as my pick for this race. And for an underdog pick, tell you what, give me, for an underdog, give me the Julian guy as an underdog pick. Why not? Why not? So we'll see how that goes. Hard to believe, man. Real end of an era right here, and I don't think a lot of people really realize it. The last main series ARCA race for Venturini Motorsports. After this race, we will see him just one more time, and then we will never see Venturini Motorsports ever again, and that's just hard to believe. It really is. They really have been, along with Brad and Wayne, and Andy, they've really been the true lifebloods of the ARCA series for, over 40 years, a lot of them 30, 40 years, and it's really sad to see, I'm happy Big Bill finally gets to retire, but I'm also sad that Big Bill's retiring because some people might not like the Venturini team, but I do. I have a big respect for them and what they give to the series. I hope Nitro Motorsports, they do well with what they're purchasing from Venturini. And they do well with that and, keep themselves just as strong. But I'm definitely going to miss seeing the Venturini name no longer popping up on the entry lists after this year. So if they could go off, if they could have a send-off with a big win, that'd be nice, especially considering they've only won one race this year. I think that was just the one win at Talladega with Lawless. So it'd be nice to see them cap off the season with one more win, but it'll just be interesting if they'll be able to beat the 18 and the 28. So this race will be on FS1 Saturday. Will be Saturday on FS1 at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time. So yes, it will probably coincide with the Xfinity Series race at the Roval. So I'll be tag teaming it. I'll be watching the Roval on my TV and then watching the ARCA race on my laptop. So, but tune into it, guys, just for, even if you want to watch the finish, just tune into it just because it's the championship race. Butterbean Queen will be the champion of the season, and congratulations to him. He's without a doubt had, a very successful season. He's completed every single race this year, even despite the mechanical issues they had at Watkins Glen. He is the only car this year to complete every single race. LeVar Scott was right there with him. However, the DNF at Kansas took away that streak. So Butterbean Queen is looking to be one of the very few guys who completed every single ARCA Menard Series race in a year. The Owners' Championship is one of the real battles. Comes down to the final race. But it's a pretty big gap. And the 18 car is basically going to need the 28 to crash out almost instantly. They hold a 22-point gap coming into this race. Actually, if anything, a 23-point gap because the 28 team would get the tiebreaker. So, if anything, they hold a 23-point gap over the 18 car. And with just 25 cars in the race, that's what I said. They need to have maximum points and basically need the 28 to wreck out instantly. So, could be another lost ownership day for the 18 team, and you know they're not going to like that because that's what JGR really fights for in the ARCA series. They didn't win it in 2018, or in 2018. I mean 2023. They did win it last year. I believe they did win it last year, but they did not win it this year. So that out of the last 3 years, they've only probably going to win it once. So, but who knows? Maybe the 28. We saw what happened in the West race. Does the 28 blow up early? Does the 28 wreck out early? Who knows? So, but yeah, it's just hard to believe, man. After this weekend, we'll have just 2 more ARCA races, and they'll be West Division races. And then we'll be off to 2026, y'all. So, but anyway, guys, thank you as usual for joining me on the ARCA Racing Podcast. I appreciate your guys' continued support of my channel. Sorry we haven't been uploading much content lately, but we'll be getting more of that soon once we get this car done. I'm really sad I'm not going to Charlotte this weekend. I was looking forward to that for the HSR Vintage races. But I assure you, we will have more content coming with the car next year. So if you like what you see here, we're going to be bringing you guys a lot more fun content. Just stick with me. And trust me, this channel will become very, very fun. So thank you guys for watching. Give you all the goodbye salute. I've been Colby Evans, Starting Park Car again. Don't forget to follow me on X. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And like I said, continue that great support, y'all. So long, goodbye, and everyone, have a great rest of your week. So long, everybody.